Good morning on this 4th of July weekend. I read a blog post recently in The Banner, which the Christian Reformed Church of America publishes monthly. The author, Kerwin Webb, used the term politically homeless to describe young people who have a hard time identifying either with the Republican Party because those who seek to control it are too conservative, or the Democratic Party for the opposite reason. I had not heard that phrase before, though I think it is extremely apt and describes a great number of women and men in our nation, not just millennials, but across generations. The politically homeless are the people who feel they don't quite fit in politically anymore. Perhaps they always thought they were Republican, but now find they are uncomfortable with biblical literalism, even though they oppose abortion. Perhaps they thought they were Democrats because they took science seriously when it came to climate change, but wonder whether changing the names of buildings as a way to support Black Lives Matter really makes long-term sense. What's an independently thinking person to do about the big divisive issues like racial injustice, immigration, gun control, and freedom of religion, when the only alternative seems to be to hunker down with one's tribe/political party, and doing so just doesn't make sense anymore? When we no longer seem to fit anywhere politically, it is tempting to simply disengage and let feelings of apathy or anxiety overwhelm us. However, that's a rabbit hole we don't want to go down. Most certainly not now, as our nation is turned upside down by the divisiveness we face, the frightening resurgence of COVID as states try to reopen their economies, and where the donning of masks has become a political statement. Regardless of our age, this is not the time to disengage from our political culture. It is not the time to abdicate our role as citizens of this politically charged community we live in. Why? Because there is way too much at stake. But what's a person to do when he or she feels politically homeless, when the platforms of both major political parties are uncomfortable at best? That's the big question. And maybe the answer is that we need to create our own platform of ideas and ideals separate from the so-called left or right. Maybe we need to look into our hearts and tap into our deeply held spiritual beliefs in order to articulate our own political platform and its planks. I'm not asking for us to engage in yet another philosophical discussion, however. I am suggesting that we affirm whatever our core values are and assess our politicians based on those values. Assess them on that spiritual platform that reflects our deepest ideals, even as we intentionally live out those ideals on a day-to-day basis. As a Christian, I look to the Bible, both the Old and New Testaments, for guidance. However, I believe that whatever your spiritual inclinations are, if you dig deep enough, you and I will come up with very similar core elements of that alternative spiritual platform. I look to the Old Testament passage found in the words of the prophet Micah. What does the Lord require of you? To seek justice and love kindness and walk humbly with your God. And then I look to Jesus in the New Testament, in the Gospels, for how those words, seeking justice, loving kindness, walking humbly, can forge a new future out of these difficult and troubled times. You who are politically homeless, what are your core values? What are the planks of your spiritual platform? And on that basis, how would you assess your congressional delegation? How would you assess the president? You who are politically homeless, start there, but don't end there. You need to also figure out how to affirm the planks of that spiritual platform in the ways you live day to day. Look to Jesus for answers. Look to your own God or goddess. Look to Spirit. And come November, don't vote as a Republican or as a Democrat. You who are politically homeless, vote your conscience, vote your ideals, vote your spiritual platform.